Christine.
Hi, Reverend Sarah.
It's good of you to join me with our weekly Hazel Park News. It's an opportunity for us to find out exactly what's going on with church as church continues to shift and adapt in this COVID time. So I invited Christine on this day to share with us a few things about what's coming for the annual meeting, which is slated for Sunday, November 14th. That's on a Sunday morning. So Christine, what do you got for us today?
Right. Well, I'm going to talk about a really exciting topic that everybody's riveted by, which is church governance. And how do we do our business? And as everybody knows, COVID hit us hard last year. And we still had to carry on as a church. But our boards, many of our boards were severely limited in what they could do. But the church council continued to meet, and the trustees, because they are probably the most important board in the church. But we found very early on with the church council that there were decisions that needed to be made for the various boards. And rather than have them struggle with meeting, and usually it was a minimum amount of decisions that had to be made, that the council felt that they could take that on through their normal duties. So there were 4 boards in particular that either just plain didn't need to do the duties, or they were very minimized. The diaconate board, the outreach board, faith formation, and the pastoral relations committee. And I thought maybe you could talk a little bit about those committees and what had to be done and what didn't have to be done.
Yeah. When it came to the diaconate board works with me in establishing worship and also membership, so the sense of reaching out to folks. So the call to care committee came out of the diaconate board, and once we divided up our membership list and folks were given names to call, the diaconate board, when it came to worship, really let me figure out how to do virtual worship. So then that was calling in volunteers, and as you know, Sarah Menson has been working with us in doing the video production, but now we've shifted to live streaming during worship as we now meet in person. But a lot of that stuff was, as the adage is, flying the plane while you build it. So we were adapting on the fly during that time. So it came to the point where the diaconate board was in consultation with the chair of the diaconate board, which was Vicki Menson, to say, do what you need to do, Sarah, so that we can keep doing worship. Though when it comes to other aspects of the diaconate board, it's making sure that our worship space was set. So Pat and Charlie came in and would replace banners where nobody else was here, and doing some of the setup in the front of the sanctuary, because that was the other piece, was that we had to make sure there wasn't cross traffic, and there still is minimal cross traffic, just to make sure that there isn't a great deal of exposure. When it came to faith formation, we were doing a lot of things via Zoom because we wanted to keep our kids safe last year. And now as we are looking at a new school year, I've been in touch with many of you who have children in the ages that fall into our ages for faith formation, trying to figure out how to meet in person. And it looks as though we may be meeting sometime in the middle of the week. So again, Sunday mornings are our hub typically, but we want to make sure we're not crossing traffic. It's for the safety of things, but also being mindful that our positivity rate is high. What does that mean for us? So it's always checking on these various things, which a lot of that had to do with the council, because that was policy-making stuff, especially with our COVID plan. When it came to the pastoral relations committee, there was one person who was faithfully serving on that board rolling off, and then it was a lot of things were in motion during that time. So to bring another person on board, that's not to say that that person couldn't do it, but it was just, we really needed to keep moving. So that's when the council and trustees would work with me on various concerns of the church so that things wouldn't necessarily stall out. And in unintentional ways, we just needed to keep shifting and moving. And then the fourth board, and outreach. outreach just got, we couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
We couldn't do our volunteer stuff that we typically did. Fairfield Express couldn't come in because of the distribution. So a lot of that stuff got shut down, where we could actually go out and do, though we still collected monies so that those organizations that were still limping along would still have funding. So a lot of this stuff, now that things have opened up, we're still trying to figure out ways to do our work in efficient ways, which is also a little bit of what Christine's going to say more about.
Yep, so that kind of leads us into a proposal that the church council is making, and it will be a resolution on the agenda of the upcoming annual meeting. And as you know, each board or committee has a representative on the council. So the council can hear from all the boards and what their concerns are. And what we'd like to do, trying it as an experiment, is rather than having a slate of members on each of these boards, to actually only elect one representative for each board, and that representative would serve on the church council for a 3-year term. So the ballot looks a bit different from previous years, and we will be again reviewing this at the annual meeting so everybody understands what this means. But this has been basically the way we've been operating for the last 2 years. So, and it's worked pretty well, I think. And I think we've been able to turn on a dime in some situations. So that's what we would like to try.
So we wanted to bring this to you today just so you could start thinking about what does this actually look like? What does that mean? So that when we get the annual meeting packet out to you that first week in November, that week before the annual meeting, so the week of the 7th, when you start seeing this stuff, you're not caught by surprise. Again, this is an experiment. We've been functioning this way for the last 2 years, and like Christine said, it's been working. But now is this something we want to be even more intentional about as we go forth in our work here as a church?
And one thing I neglected to say was that as boards' duties pick up, then that board representative, which is basically the chair of any given board or committee, will ask people to participate. And this way we can function in an ad hoc way. So if something big is coming up for a board, get some people on board that perform that specific task. And you as a volunteer don't necessarily have to sign up for a 3-year stint. You can just come in and do a particular task.
Yeah. So what do you think? Might be worth something to check out at our annual meeting on Sunday, November 14th.
Very exciting stuff.
Absolutely. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to email me or be in touch with Christine. And if you don't have Christine's number, I'll hand it out to you.
Not sure about that. Or any council member.
Or any council member, of course. But thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.